Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? I just wanted to start off my video series with a video which probably will never get posted, and just talk to you about my experience with mental health. I actually avoid talking about it in terms of mental health most often because it can lead to a rabbit hole, and there's a lot of opinions about it and so on and so forth. But I feel it's time to start to contribute, perhaps is a word that I would like to use in this department, because I have had limited experience with mental health. I think everybody has. In fact, that's why I don't like the word mental health, because we all have a degree of mental health. So when you speak about it, it's like, you know, health is health. You're just on a spectrum, aren't you? So you either have good health or bad health. So mental health itself has got this negative connotation attached to it, which I don't think is actually a good thing, because health should give a positive vibe, you know. When we say the word health, we feel, yeah, we tend towards knowing that it's a good, we think it as a good thing, unless we say it's bad. So when we say healthy, we don't think, oh, that's not good. It's healthy. Unless you're talking about salads and you don't want them, oh, that looks a bit healthy. But you can hear it all in the tone of voice, and that's why I want to reframe this idea of what's going on in here and how to make it a nice place and a nice not nice, but somehow functional, clear, open and awakening. I dare to use that word. Let's not go there for now. But so today's topic is what to do when you find yourself in a hole. And I'm not talking about a deep, dark hole. I'm just talking about a dip. And the reason I'm talking about that is because I found myself in one today. I am somebody who has previously been very up and down with my moods in the past, but in the last years, actually, mostly I'm pretty stable. I guess it's to do with the fact that I've done a lot of yoga, worked with Ayurveda, I've worked with sound, and I've done quite a fair amount of introspection and sitting with my own tendencies and patterns. And for that reason, I feel that this has somehow given, it's smoothened out the waves, let's say, to some degree. But that's the background. And yet today, out of the blue, I woke up with the blues, and that is, and there was no reason for it in particular. I'm sure there are, but what I have found is that digging into, like, why is it, this why question is actually kind of unhelpful. And so, and that used to be my way. I used to go, why am I feeling like this? But today, as uncomfortable as it is, I decided to stay with the feelings. This has been my kind of way of dealing with this dips that come from time to time, because sometimes they're for any number of reasons, from what's going out there in the world, out there, you know, you feel it, of course, in your heart, to things that maybe somebody said to you, or you're feeling low self-esteem for whatever reason. There's all this tiny little things weighing up. It can sometimes even be because spring is here and everything's beautiful, and you're not quite ready for it yet. That's anyway, but this is all going into the why, and that's not the point. So instead I found myself today, and I'm saying this not as a random thing, because it's kind of like been the way I've slowly started to deal with things when things have a good outcome. And that is to, first of all, acknowledge that it's there. And the second thing for me is very important, to take my foot off the accelerator. I am a very action-oriented person. I like to do many things. However, the things that I do tend to be things that I don't like doing, and then I complain about them. I have a whole world of things that I love to do creatively, and a whole world of things that I feel I have to do. And strange reason is, and I don't know what this tendency is, but I always tend to prioritize the things I don't like doing. It can be because they are a have-tos, but you know, I'm not going to starve if I don't do these job things every day. But yeah, for whatever reason, they are kind of easier things to do. But what I start to notice after a few days of hitting it hard, hitting the books, hitting the work hard, is that my eyes start to hurt. My brain starts to feel fuzzy. I start to feel a heaviness in my system. And after a few days, if I don't listen to that, it could be that is something's building up to this blue heavy feeling. So as I used to be a doctor, when you are investigating something that's going on, you want to look at what, like, so this is how, it's kind of like a different approach to finding out the why, rather than just like digging around, like, could it be this, could it be that? It's kind of more like a practical, objective way of trying to see the mind without digging into it, if that makes sense. We're like trying to take a new perspective on it. So, okay, what have I been doing in the last time that's possibly not creating the good conditions for me to feel good? Because at the end of the day, there are a million things that we can feel bad about and many things that we can feel good about. So we're tuning to different frequencies. And so the question I'm asking here, and this is the difference, is what have I been doing that is now making my frequency low, and hence making me susceptible to all the thoughts? Does that make sense? So, okay, stay with me. So, yes. So the first thing I do for myself is check, am I doing too much? Am I hitting the work too hard? So for you, your question might be something different, like, but I do feel in this kind of society where we do tend to push things quite a lot, that can often be a cause. But maybe it's the opposite for you. Maybe it's like you are really doing nothing at all, and that needs to just be seen. Okay, so first it's just bringing what's maybe too heavy up, or what's getting too like down, to create a space. So what I did today was, I was like, okay, I've got my to-do list, but I'm feeling allergic to my computer, even though I'm addicted to my computer. I can't switch it on in the same way that I would. So I went into the kitchen and made things, and I was feeling so like this. And the next thing I did, and the way I was doing things was also very chaotic, very kind of like hard and messy and like frantic. And I was, of course, watching all of this at the same time. And what I felt called to do, because I tried in the past to be like, okay, I'll try and do everything nicely and smoothly, but that's simply not me. So instead I had to tune into some other frequency, and so I began to chant the mantra to the goddess Lakshmi. And at first this was also chanted in a way that is chaotic, and but eventually I started to soften into this vibration. So this is the second way I'm tuning my mind, is using mantric tools, yogic tools of sound to, it's like a light in a way, a sound light, if you can have that, but just like a flower will turn towards the light source. Now we are holding this sonic source here, like, okay, now turn your mind towards this, tune your mental frequencies towards this sound. So I was chanting Om Shri Mahalakshmiye Namaha, all internally, not with a mala, just as I was doing everything, and just let that be the background vibration. And I was really amazed. It's always amazing when you can find yourself slightly rising out of something, because my chaotic, frantic way of doing everything smoothened out, and I was able to I made some fresh tofu, which was fun. It was also chaotic at first. I burnt the pan, etc. And then I made some carrot cake bliss balls, which did not look like the ones on Instagram, but hey ho. But they actually, in the end, did look really good. So at first I was like, oh, it's not as good as the ones on Instagram. But then, yeah, and then, I don't know, some magic happened because I didn't have my phone with me in the kitchen. I was just chanting this mantra and doing what I needed to do. And the other thing I was able to tell myself is to slow down a bit. So it wasn't the end of the story then. The low frequency, that does persist, you know, of course. And we can't also expect things to immediately change, but it can be that when we start to put a few things in motion earlier on in the day, that it can later have an effect. So after this point, okay, yeah, still felt a bit lost. So this feeling of lostness, a bit vague, it's kind of, I guess it comes along with that. And what is the danger at that point is always distraction. Go have a scroll, go and do some work, etc. When I could feel inside, in the background, my heart was telling me, please do something lovely and creative. But dun, 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 for me, this is very, very scary, actually, doing creative things. I love to start projects, but finishing them off or stretching myself into new technical realms is always very, very intimidating. And yes, so I was kind of scrambled around for a while and tried to, and I did flounder. I wasn't getting it really exactly right. I did kind of nearly fall into the work trap again, but I managed to get myself out for another walk and come back and switched the internet off. So this, I think, is always a huge turning point, and I am lucky because I live in an area where there's no signal. So if we unplug the router, then nothing works. There's literally no connection, and it is pure magic to return to what is needed for yourself. Can't do any work, can only do the creative things or just relax. So either one, whichever you prefer, but suddenly you get this choice back, which is not taken out by distraction, yeah. Traction, you know, you get into the flow, and distraction, you are taken off it completely. And yeah, well, I started to experiment. I started to experiment with my new speaker system and my loop pedal, and I was frustrated and bored, but somehow I stayed with it, and then I practiced a few of my songs that I'm working on, and then I listened to a mantra that I started creating. But just even before this is happening, I noticed that something has opened up in me. Something that didn't open up through the cooking, but started to in a way and it was simply a removal of the pressure, a removal of distractions, a tuning of my frequency a little bit. And yeah, so that's it. 1, get rid of distractions. 2, tune the frequency. And 3, what was the third one? Take the pressure off, yeah. That's it. And then see what happens out of that space. So I hope you enjoyed my little rambling today. Like I said, this is like an introduction to something I've been wanting to bring out for a long time, but I felt quite scared about doing that. But and maybe now is not quite yet the time. Like I said, this video may never see the light of day. Maybe it will. And yeah, but the point is, yes, sound and Ayurveda. So these 3 things that I have told you, they may sound like purely common sense, but I've arrived at them through my journey with sound and Ayurveda. So Ayurveda says to put the right food in, and food doesn't just mean physical food that you eat. It's through all of the sense doors. Yeah, so too much information coming in through the eyes, the seat of the mind it's like a source of heat, and we're putting light and information in through the eyes, then the heat goes up, and so then the mind starts to go a little bit like crazy, and that's also this pressure cooker feeling. And then when the mind is feeling like that, the heart can't open up anymore. There's no space. When the mind is in overdrive, the heart is forgotten in a way. So what we want to do is reduce that input first, let the mind calm down, and then bring our attention to the heart. So we can put the good frequencies in. So comes the sound training. Amazingly wonderful frequencies. They're not things that somebody's just made up. They are mantras. They've been heard from deep states of meditation. And meditation, of course, is an activity where we stop doing activities. We are listening. We're falling back into our true sense of ourselves. So when we chant these mantras, we get the possibility to travel on these rafts of frequency into the space from which they've come. So yes, so those are the three things, and that was why. And I hope to say more about this from a perspective of sound and Ayurveda. If you'd like to hear some more about it, then please do let me know, and it will inspire me. I'm always afraid of getting a troll, but aren't we all? And so this is the last part of my evening. I'm not even posting it now because my internet is off, and you may see this when the internet comes back on again. So it's all going off now, and time for a nice shower and a bath and some meditation and a hot milk, and that's it, really. Lots of love, and wishing you mental health, which is supreme, and yes, makes you feel alive, happy, carefree, and able to live from the heart. Oh, I've got a clicker now. Oh wait.